All right, good morning, everyone, as we're getting set up here. Hope you're all doing good. Let me change some things around, shut some stuff off, and get the party started. Welcome to the last and final college football playoff release of the 2025 season. Chaos could ensue, anger is going to ensue, complicity is going to ensue, tears will fall, anger will rage, and at the end of it, we will have 12 teams going to compete for the college football playoff. We'll have bowl selections confirmed later on, where you can watch your favorite players opt out and people you never heard of start. And we will watch Joey Galloway make me pissed for another hour or so, even though as a Miami fan, I do not expect to get in. But we're going to break it all down here this morning. Anyone who is joining in, if you're watching over on X, would love if you came over to CFB Express on YouTube, just so I can get your chat comments and react to that real time. So we have some things to chop it up as on the left-hand side to me. Your right-hand side, I have my screen on. I'm sure we'll all be watching. There'll probably be some moments of pregnant pauses while we kind of get a sense of what is the playoff really going to look like, who's going to get in. Is the drama of championship Saturday and Friday really going to hold true? Is James Madison going to get in ahead of Duke, who upset Virginia in overtime yesterday with an 8-5 record, 7-2 in, or actually, yeah, 8-5 record, 7-2 in the ACC. So props to them on that front. James Madison, their coach heading over to UCLA, won the Sun Belt. They were ranked last week, so we'll see about that. BYU in the Big 12, currently the number 11, heading into the final playoff rankings, lost in pretty big fashion to Texas Tech for the second time this year. I think the Big 12 is getting dissed and ignored. And yes, I understand. I'm not even necessarily saying that BYU should or should not be in. But what I am saying is they should be treated and judged fairly by the exact same criteria that everybody else is being used, as opposed to we have a bunch of people saying you can never possibly move Alabama down, but it's totally okay to move BYU down for losing in a conference championship. They're talking out of both sides of the mouth based off of whatever's convenient, and all I'd really like is for those talking heads with influence to have some intellectual consistency, because Alabama got boat raced just as bad by Bama as BYU did by Texas Tech. Obviously, Alabama lost in pretty unimpressive fashion. Now, granted, the one thing they have on their side is they beat Georgia earlier this year on the road. But if you look at their last four games, the so-called eye test, the eye test needs to go to LensCrafters and get some new context, because it's a little bit of a blurry picture there when it comes to Alabama. And then you have everything about Miami and Notre Dame as specific examples, both not playing. The committee chose to not move Miami over Notre Dame on Tuesday, even when their regular seasons were concluded. The metrics were essentially tied across the board, and the head-to-head, which is one of the four main protocols, is kind of an on-off switch. You either beat somebody or you didn't, and that seemed to not be counted. So what's going to happen today? I have no freaking idea, but there's some interesting things out there. If you're just waking up, just getting ready, I'm out on the West Coast, so it's just waking up for me. Those on the East Coast, you're getting ready for it to hit high noon, see what kind of craziness we get from the College Football Playoff Committee. Does it go chalk? Does Notre Dame maybe leap over Alabama, jump to number 9? Alabama moves to 10, gets the last spot in, and Miami is the first one out, and the ACC gets shut out? Or does Miami not make it, and somehow, against all odds, Duke gets in ahead of James Madison? Does Alabama get out, and everybody starts crying about championship games and what happens to those teams while they don't care about BYU, and conveniently forgetting that last year when SMU lost in the ACC championship game, yes, they made it in, but in the final rankings, they dropped 2. Penn State dropped 1. Texas dropped 1. I'm old enough to remember when Florida State dropped out without even losing. Wisconsin, years ago, in the 14 playoff era, lost and also dropped out. There are multiple times where teams in the college football rankings, whether it was a 4-team era of the playoff or the new 12 team, which only has 1 year, when they lost a conference championship game, they were punished. They lost a spot. They lost 2, and they were out. So this whole narrative that you can't punish anybody is a crock of shit. Now, there are ramifications, I'm sure, if who was the number one seed technically for the SEC, Alabama, goes in and loses to a team that they beat previously, who's a high-ranked, it's one of their good losses now, in contrast to losing to Florida State, who Miami beat in the same venue. There's definitely ramifications for the conference championship games, but maybe the conference championships games have completely outlived their life. And yes, there's a lot of money there, unequivocally, but there's a lot more money probably by doing play-ins on that weekend within your conference than just one game where a playoff era has diminished it. We have a game between Big Ten last night, Ohio State and Indiana, number 1 and number 2, which was a very interesting game, but practically didn't matter. Maybe Ohio State drops to 3. I don't even know if they will, but we'll find out. So anyway, we'll get all those reactions. If you're new to the channel, please consider hitting like, maybe subscribe, check us out. This is a national college football channel. My partners in crime are busy doing other things, living a life. I'm waking up and enjoying what I think is going to be chaos. I'm a Miami fan by heart. I try to look at things pretty objectively with data as best as possible, but I won't ever hide the fact that I despise Notre Dame. So that's just a thing you should always know. But I still look at the metrics, and I think Notre Dame belongs in the playoffs, by the way. I just don't think they belong in the playoffs ahead of Miami. Head-to-head has to matter. If we're going to worry about protecting the conference championship games, we need to worry about protecting head-to-head, which happens every week for 12 weeks of your schedule. So that's kind of where I stand. I head into this not believing that Miami is going to make it, just so we're clear. I will be telling the world I was wrong. I'll sing Social Distortion song called I Was Wrong. But that is my expectations, that the College Football Playoff Committee will not live up to their protocols, by the way. So that's where we are. And everybody, of course, is fighting for this, right? We're fighting to get into the second and third rounds of the national championship game. And we're hoping right now that you're seeing like what teams are going to fill this, and we'll fill this in alongside everything else. So thanks for everybody who's already jumped in the chat. Let's get some of the initial takes here. Good friend of the channel says, after watching the games yesterday, it's evident that Bama does not belong in the college football playoff. What's up, Flo and Rock? Flo is out doing things with the fam, but I know he's checking in. Mario thinks that Miami will be at 9 and 10 or 10. I would love that personally, Mario Christogoat, but I don't really feel confident about that. I think it's going to be a Notre Dame 9, Alabama 10, Miami 11. I would love to be wrong. I will fall on that sword every single day, either over Indy or under them. You cannot penalize Bama coming from one hung low. You know what that means. Good shout-out reference. For playing the conference championship. Bama derangement syndrome in full swing. Hey, do me a favor. Let me know about the other times in the 4-team conference where somebody lost their conference game. Wisconsin, Auburn, a few others that happened. Also, by the way, last year, since facts actually matter, sorry, Alabama. Don't hate you guys. I got family who goes there. I don't really have an issue with you getting there. I wish there was a 16-team playoff. But SMU dropped 2 spots when they lost last year. Penn State dropped a spot. Somebody else dropped a spot last year. I can't remember. So the fallacy that teams that get to their conference championship and lose don't drop is completely wrong. They have dropped out of the playoff in the 4-team era, which is what we had for a long time. And even last year, SMU dropped 2 spots. They were literally on the edge of dropping out. So I understand the sentiment, and everyone's going to play their own narrative. And if I were you, I'd be doing the same thing. You all need to understand that previous rankings are nothing but a reality show. Yes, but they have framed everything. And I think that if this committee had any integrity, they would have flipped Miami and Notre Dame last week on Tuesday when their schedules were done. So that's why I have literally zero confidence that they would do that now. And again, it's an unfortunate conversation because I think that Notre Dame and Miami are clearly in not only the top 12 teams in the country right now, I think they're both in the top 10. But screw Notre Dame. I don't care. Miami beat you. This is a ridiculous conversation. FSU dropped without losing, and they got curb stomped 63-3 in the bowl game. I love this. Look, if you're going to come into my chat on my damn channel, have friggin' facts and not bias. I am the last person in the world who's going to defend FSU, but if we're not going to act like half their team didn't play in that game, and that's the result of their score after being completely screwed over and ripping the heart out of that team and using that as a fact, then I don't give a crap what you say because your opinion isn't valid to me because you're not even using facts. What's up, Bob Swanger? I still believe head-to-head tops everything. Yeah, last time I checked, I play you in a game, I beat you, I get to dunk on you for the rest of time until you beat me again. That's how it works. Sorry, it's called a sport. Head-to-head. Every other league in the world, head-to-head is a tiebreaker. It is. Do I think it's going to happen today? Is that they're going to defer to their own thing? No. But this will be the thing. If they do not put Miami over Notre Dame, or even if they put them both in the playoff and screw Alabama for the conference playoff, for the championship reasons, it will still be the only time in 13 times in the college football playoff era where two teams with the same record who met had the team that lost be behind the team, be in front of the team that won. It will be the first time in 13 times. Roger Allen comes in with the save. Auburn, yes. SEC, I know it's the Alabama fan doing that talking before. Have you heard of Auburn? I think they're like 105 miles away from you, something like that. Auburn was left out of the playoffs in 2017 when they beat Georgia and Alabama during the season, and they played in the SEC championship as the number 2 ranked team and lost the game to the Georgia team. Oh my God, that can't possibly be true. It doesn't fit a narrative. Oh, actually, it's true. All right, so in case, a couple of things. And maybe if you're looking for an interesting thing of what might happen, because sometimes there's a correlation between the two. The AP poll came out earlier, and the interesting things here mainly is that Miami, which I believe was 12th last week, did in fact jump BYU and Alabama to 10. Notre Dame was 9 this week. Vanderbilt ahead of Texas. Not that that matters specifically, but I know the Vanderbilt fans and Texas fans have their own arguments, and I think that they have valid things. I just don't think they stand up relative to an Alabama, a Miami, or Notre Dame. I can make an argument that I think Oklahoma is overrated, but I believe they belong in the playoff, but I can make an argument that other teams belong ahead of them, but things have already been said. I don't think they're going to take a home game away. The other thing in the rankings, Tulane, who won the American Conference in a great game with North Texas, a strong statement they made, is the highest ranked group of 5 team. They're definitely in, and James Madison is at number 19, having won the Sun Belt, and you do not see Duke creeping into the bottom of this poll. Somehow Missouri keeps staying in the poll. I have literally no idea why Missouri is ranked on anybody. That is a definite part of SEC bias, in my opinion. Going back to some comments. Yeah, UGA was left out as well. That was back, there was a long time ago in 2000. Miami beat FSU, but FSU made the playoffs and Miami didn't. That was in the BCS era, whichever way you want to talk about it. We're about a minute away from the show actually beginning, so you might get some pauses here as I listen alongside you. Be aware that all of us in this chat, watching on X, watching wherever you might be, our TVs can be out of sync, cable provider streaming. So somebody might be a minute ahead, 30 seconds. Be aware if you're in the chat that somebody might drop something before you've seen it. And just, that note of caution. If you don't want to have anybody tell you something before you see it yourself on TV, I would suggest turning the chat off, muting me for the first 5 to 10 minutes so that doesn't happen for you. Bob Swanger, 4-team playoff, apples to oranges. Doesn't matter, though. People still dropped. You can't sit there and say a championship game didn't matter and say it never has. First of all, the 12-team era is only 1 year old. There's things that have happened for the first time, but there's no trends. It can't happen. And SMU in that era dropped 2 spots. They dropped from 8 to 10. They did. We don't know what would have happened if SMU had been 10th or 11th, whatever the cut line was last year, and lost that same game to Clemson. We don't know. They might have dropped out. We don't know that answer. Also, I don't believe anything the committee chairmen say because I think they come to a conclusion and then they use the data to support that conclusion. That's my personal take. All right, Reese is on. I'm going to have the sound on in the background. I can't have it on loud enough, hopefully, for anyone to hear so I don't get shut down by YouTube. So apologies if I missed something. If you hear anyone say anything interesting, especially when they're doing the analysis later, which I definitely will probably not be able to hear as I continue to chat and pontificate up here. Drop it in the chat so I know and comment on, and we can chop it up about that. We will start to hear leaks about the additional bowl positions. Some of those have already started to drop, courtesy of guys like Brett McMurphy. Let me put the closed captions on so I have a better idea of what's going on. So yeah, there'll be some pauses. What I will say is when Reese Davis starts to interview the chairman, whenever the results are done, I will probably stop talking and try to listen to that well so I can hear what kind of crap he's going to spew, regardless of who the person is. What's up, Tony? How are you today? Yeah, we could use the luck. I am not expecting anything, but I'll be lucky. Bob, I know it's 12-team playoffs. It's totally different. I don't care. Last year, SMU dropped 2 spots. That's last year, 12-team playoff. They dropped 2 spots. They just happened to drop enough to stay in the playoff. If they had gone in as the 11 seed heading in, like BYU, and lost, they probably would have been out. Or maybe even at 10, they might have been out. They might have fallen. We don't know. There's only been 1 year. So everyone's saying nobody drops when they're in the conference championships, even in the 12-team era. That's not true. 3 people dropped last year from 1 to 2 spots. 1 or 2 spots this year makes a massive difference in who gets in. And you're catching up to me. I apologize. So that makes sense. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. It's like even last year, SMU did not stay at 8. It just didn't. They dropped. So we'll see. I wish there was a way on my TV that I could literally just cut out Joey Galloway. Anyone have an AI tool for that and a live thing to basically put a clown out of the screen? Because I think that guy's a clown. If you're in our chat right now, please definitely hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed before, cool. It's definitely would help us to do that. And if you're over on Twitter and X and you disagree with anything I'm saying, certainly come in. Give me a reason why. The committee is in a no-win situation. They're either damaging the history of head-to-head. They're damaging the value of conference championship games, which I acknowledge could be a result of these, though I think they should just probably get rid of them and do play-ins, and they'd all make more money anyway, and that's all they really care about is the money. And they're also risking potentially leaving the ACC out completely, which, you know, would be glorious in its own right, because the ACC is a clown show of its own making as well. And, you know, my thing too is just, if BYU had won yesterday, or even if they, you know, even somebody else, if Notre Dame's not in, then I'm less pissed if Miami's not. But I think it's ridiculous in the head-to-head matchup there. But I also don't think necessarily that Notre Dame should be out. I think right now, if you do the eye test, the last 4 games, Miami and Notre Dame both look better, including before Alabama lost yesterday. They made justifications of how Alabama was up 17-0 on Auburn before Auburn almost won that game, as if that was some talking point. They talk about people's rushing yards, which has nothing to do with the criteria of who's getting selected. So I bet you this, if we did not have this glorified TV show for 5 weeks and the rankings started today, if all we saw were the rankings today, the top 12 is going to be very different outside of the conference champions. Even the order would be. Yeah, this is, by the way, we actually play real games. We don't do hypothetical rematches. If you went back and watched the Miami Notre Dame game, where the score wound up being close, and Mario Cristobal hopefully has learned his lesson about that, if you look at the probabilities and the game control metric, which, by the way, is a metric they use, you can see it on ESPN too, Miami controlled that game. It was really not in doubt in the second half. Yes, they play with their food a little bit. But if the Miami Notre Dame game's how can the Miami Notre Dame game be dismissed? How can the Alabama Florida State game be dismissed because it was week 1? It makes no sense. Alabama's got the worst loss of anybody we're even talking about in the conversation. And yes, they also have good wins. Texas has more good wins. They're not in the conversation because they have a few bad losses.
Are they going to be punished for losing the second time to Texas Tech, therefore putting Miami right next to Notre Dame?
But we'll see. there are those out there who think that it is possible that Duke will still get in. I don't really buy that myself. Here's a poll that I took on our channel yesterday. I think it was. Who do you guys think is in? Right now, most people on our poll, granted it's a small thing, 59% think Alabama's out and Notre Dame and Miami are in. 19% think Miami's out and Notre Dame and Alabama are in. 11% thought Notre Dame is out and Miami and Alabama are in. And 11% of you thought some chaos scenario was going to happen. And heading into the game last night for Alabama, 42% of you thought Alabama was in regardless. 35% thought Alabama must win, and 23% thought they had to not lose big. So if you put the two combined, it's like 42% think you're in regardless, 58% think that Alabama probably would be out.
Well, I just think if it's Miami and Notre Dame, I think the head-to-head finally at the end of this, when the dust settles.
It seemed like Mario learned his lesson. I see the SEC bias with Bama barely beating every bad team in their schedule for the past 2 months, and it doesn't count. Yeah. Maybe too late. Kirby definitely went conservative after 21-0, but but that's also kind of smart in his own right. Making sure you don't get hurt for the playoffs. I don't really have an issue. Miami could have won those games, right? ACC is a joke with the penalty against Miami in the last part of the SMU game. People aren't paying attention to that. Miami's 2 losses are not as good of losses as Notre Dame's, but they're 8 and 4 teams, who are all in the top 30 of SAGR and a couple other rankings. So they're not bad losses. They're just not good losses either.
What really stands out? They went to Pitt, they beat USC, but is that enough when you still have that most significant thing to me? And I think again,
the thing is, like, if they had this formula, right, the college football playoff selection criteria, and they used it, right? These are the principles. There's 4 things listed. One of them, strength of schedule. That's either Miami and Notre Dame are tied. No, Alabama's ahead there. Head-to-head comparison only exists between Miami and Notre Dame, and it's an on-off. You either got it or you didn't get it, right? There's no in-between. Comparative outcomes of common opponents. Miami and Notre Dame have 4. This has been well discussed. Miami beat 3 of them by more than Notre Dame did. Notre Dame beat Syracuse by more than Miami did. They were playing against a lacrosse team quarterback. And contrary to public narratives by the Notre Dame propaganda machine, and I have been part of a Miami propaganda machine, by the way, on social media, despite this being a national channel. When it's come to this and Notre Dame, I don't try to act like I try to be fact-based, but I am got my glasses on. Common opponents, Miami beat Florida State. Alabama lost to Florida State. And then on other unavailability. If you look through the 12 deep metrics that have been publicized because reporters have gone to mock versions of this to show how it works, those deeper stuff beyond FPI, which Miami is 7, Notre Dame is 3, I think Alabama is 6. Strength of schedule, Miami and Miami and Notre Dame are essentially tied, 1 spot separating them. Alabama's higher. Strength of record, Miami and Notre Dame's 1 spot ahead. Game control, Miami and I think Notre Dame are ahead of Alabama, and they're right next to each other as well. But these other deeper metrics, Miami leads on all the defensive ones. Notre Dame leads by a little bit more on all the offensive ones. It's essentially a wash. If all of these principles here were applied, strength of schedule, Miami and Notre Dame are essentially tied the way the committee is supposed to look at things. Head-to-head, on-off switch, Miami gets it. Comparative outcomes, it's either a tie or slightly in favor of Miami. And then it's this other shit, eye test, trends, which are not actually described in their principles, but obviously have come into play, which is why you find Miami fans so mad. If Notre Dame's out, I will still be disappointed because we shot ourselves in the foot. But I will consider it to be a much more fair situation. Granted, there's a whole other different situation when it comes to comparing to Alabama and things like that. But we'll see what happens. I think that what's going to happen is this is going to cause chaos in one form or another. The college football playoff for next year still hasn't been decided. It was supposed to be decided by December 1st. They couldn't come to an agreement between the Big Ten and the SEC, who control the voting, we have more time. I think what happens in the next 30 minutes is going to greatly impact what we see going forward. Because clearly those new metrics that came into place didn't completely absolve the possibility of people being pissed. So we'll see what happens.
So there are a lot of things to deal with. Now, 5 reporters in different places, different levels of controversy. Molly McGrath is with Duke, ACC champions there. This is probably a long shot. We've got Molly McGrath against Dana there, maybe looking for.
So now they're just going around the horn.
With Marty Smith, where
They've got people at JMU, at Duke, at Miami, at Alabama. I didn't see. So Marty Smith's over in Alabama. So they're definitely not going to get to the rankings as quickly as they did on Tuesday. They're definitely stalling for it.
That ranks in the top 10 in all 3 of them right now. I just left Kalen DeBoer's office. He makes it very clear we should not be penalized for earning the right to play in the
Alabama should not be penalized for earning the right
conference in the country as the number
to play in the conference championship game. They should be penalized for looking like shit over the last 4 weeks and having the worst loss of any team with a 10-2 or now their additional loss record. That's why they should be penalized, not for losing to Georgia, but for looking terrible the last month of the season if trend matters.
Good morning, Marty. Yeah, here on campus, the Notre Dame players and coaches are gathering to watch the selection show. Their confidence is very high. They are confident in the resume that they put together. Those 2 losses at the beginning of the season, just by a combined 4 points to Miami and Texas A&M. They also
By the way, in case you've not seen it before, so while we're stalling,
were dominant.
let me show you.
Average of 30.
We like to do our fake NIL deals. Here's one in honor of Notre Dame and the ACC conference.
Did your team get dog walked on national TV? Welcome to the Notre Dame Dog Training Academy. We turn leaders of men into very good boys.
Our specialized training curriculum teaches basic commands. Sit, stay, start a lacrosse player at quarterback. Good boy.
And for our executive clients, try our Phillips Cup protocol. Learn to watch from the corner while the big independent teams have all the fun.
Enroll today. Because if you can't beat them, well, you definitely can't beat them. Paw like a champion.
Jim Phillips has no vision for the ACC. He's a cuck to Notre Dame. He can't get his athletic directors around anything. He can't advocate with his TV partners. It's not just his fault that the tiebreakers in the ACC are trash, but it is his fault that 2 years ago he did no advocating for Florida State when it was necessary, even if it wouldn't have changed anything. And now he's got a mess on his hands because they had no vision to think about the fact that an unbalanced schedule among 17 teams in a conference could create tiebreakers that result in ridiculous outcomes. And the ACC deserves everything if they're ultimately shut out today. And that includes not just Jim Phillips. It does include all the athletic directors and presidents who have approved all of the things that are part of the bylaws of the tie-breaking process. So I'm not absolving Dan Radakovich. I'm not absolving Jim Phillips. I'm not absolving anybody, athletic directors at Florida State, Clemson, North Carolina State, Duke. You guys didn't think this through, and it was possible. The American Conference has a tiebreaker when head-to-head's not involved that specifically defers to rankings. The Mountain West has a version of that as well. There are ways to have done this differently. Appreciate it, Eddie. Look, I'd like to see, no matter what happens, I would like to see James Madison get in. I don't think that Duke deserves to get into the playoff. Congrats to them. They won the conference. I also don't think the ACC should have done what the Big Ten did during COVID times and basically changed who was going to represent the league in a championship game or a playoff game. The rules were the rules ahead of the season. You want to change them now for tiebreakers, great. But I don't think it was the smart time to have adjusted them was before this happened. The next smart time is to do after. It's not to change the rules mid-game.
Comparative outcomes against common opponents. Miami's pointing to that against Alabama, too, comparing the Florida State games and unavailability of key players.
All right, everyone in the chat, if you're over here right now, Just type in let's assume this is down to an Alabama, Notre Dame, Miami decision. If you're in the chat, tell me who is out. Let me know who you think is out. Type your team in there. I want to get a handle on what everybody thinks. Come on now, I know it's early. Alabama out? Is Miami out? Or is Notre Dame out?
And I'm not trying to absolve the committee. This is the business they've chosen. They signed up for this. This is going to be a very controversial decision, no matter what they decide. What's it been like in the committee room?
It's been tense. Look, and they met until 2:30.
All right, we got Alabama out from Tony, who also thinks that Duke is not getting in. Bama is out. Notre Dame and Miami are in. So there's some optimism from some Miami fans here and a non-Miami fan. Thank you, my friend. Miami out. That's where I stand. That's not what I want, but there's a difference between what I believe this committee will do based off of prior actions and what I want to have happen. What I want to have happen is the teams that deserve to be in there to be in there. If I had my way, there would be a different situation, even above number 9. Rat City says Bama is out. CFP Fanatic says, still don't see how anyone with 2 brain cells to rub together thinks Notre Dame should be in over Miami with the head-to-head loss. I agree. And I would agree, by the way, if it was reversed. I am not a Miami is always good kind of person. I have ripped Mario before for multiple reasons as well. Bama has to be out. Bama lost to FSU and Miami beat FSU and Notre Dame. CFP Fanatic adds on that he doesn't like Miami or Beck. See, that's the kind of opinion I could take. If you have an opinion that's based on some degree of consistency, regardless of your fanaticism on any one team, I respect that. I can't stand Florida State as a rival. But Florida State got screwed 2 years ago. Hardcore. Not just by the committee, but by the media, by ESPN, and by the ACC. Doesn't mean I like them, but I can acknowledge that fact. At least that's my opinion on that fact. You're allowed to be, you're allowed to try to be fair about how you apply the things, even if ultimately you want something else to happen. Roger thinks Alabama is out. I just don't. I think Alabama should be out, to be clear. If I had to choose one of these 3 teams to be out, Alabama would be out to me. I just can't fathom that this committee, which is controlled essentially by the Big Ten and the SEC, is going to, and even though there would still be 4 SEC teams in with Georgia and Texas A&M and Ole Miss and Oklahoma, I can't see this committee, not getting over the implied wrath of Greg Sankey and the quote-unquote death of the college football conference championship game. Something should die, not paying players. I just can't imagine them doing that to Alabama, even though they probably deserve to drop. When Texas lost, as an example, they dropped 6 spots. Maybe not going to drop Alabama that much because of the scenario that it's a championship game that they qualified and earned for. But they look like crap in so many other games over the course of November that they got to at least drop 2. And if they drop 2, it's over. Rock agrees with. I agree with you, Rock. Phillips is a useless commissioner. He needs to be fired. Exactly. And the athletic directors also deserve for approving and rubber stamping some of these things. I encourage you all to go to ESPN. And yes, I understand. So some of you have not a big love for ESPN, but David Hale wrote an article about the ACC when it comes to football and this entire mess. It's a really long and detailed article. It's excellent. I encourage you to go seek that out to just see how the ACC got to this place, which is separate and apart from the Miami-specific conversation relative to Notre Dame and Alabama. I think BYU is out, and they're already applying the principles differently to Alabama versus BYU. But again, teams who have lost in conference championship games, including last year, have dropped a couple of spots at minimum. And I, as a Hurricane fan, will be the first to admit that I am fighting a battle against propaganda battle that I don't think is going to work, and I don't know if it even would have worked if it did work, but it felt better raging and trolling Notre Dame fans and a little bit of Alabama fans the last day for whatever good it does or doesn't do. And I applaud the Hurricane community for flying a plane over Grapevine and buying billboards about head-to-head mattering. But there is inconsistency. I'm not debating BYU fans about their situation because, I admit that it's a lot of BS. I can only fight my own battle for my own team in this particular moment. Bama got destroyed. Yes, they got destroyed. And they have bookends. Terrible loss to start and a terrible loss to end. Terrible team, turned out to be start with. A great team, a good loss at the end. So we will have to see what happens. Who's in? I think JMU, the Dukes are in myself. I know I was watching the Cover 3 podcast with that whole crew, and they think that the Duke win the 7-4 or whatever record it is against P4 teams that JMU doesn't even have the chance to actually compete on will have made the day and they will get ahead. I just don't buy it because JMU was ranked last week. Now, for all we know, Duke could have been 26th, but we don't know. Let's see. They're about to start here. It looks like.
12 teams in the field, the 5 highest ranked conference champions, no matter which conference they come from, and then the next 7 highest ranked teams after that will make up the 12 teams. So Zach, our graphics operator, has everything ready to go. So let's start with the number.
All right, here we begin with the rankings. I'll be paying more attention to that for a moment. So Indiana is the number 1 seed. So they're doing it in reverse order from when we normally see the countdown. If you let Bama in, you'd have to let Texas in. I don't know. Maybe. But again, you have this 1-game differential that makes it harder to do the 1-for-1 comparison. All right, let's see. Does Ohio State fall more than 1 spot? That's what we're looking for. And Ohio State does not drop. So yesterday was an exhibition game. Now, if you're a Miami fan, a Notre Dame fan, maybe a Bama fan, know right now that if you get that 9 slot, you are lining up to possibly, if you win your game, which would most likely, I'm going to guess that Oklahoma is going to be number 8. But if you're the 9 slot, you're likely to face Indiana in the Rose Bowl. So I'm going to assume Georgia is going to be 3 and Texas Tech is going to be 4. But we'll see if they give Texas Tech the nod here. Both, whoever gets 3 and 4 are both going to get a bye. It's more about what your seeding is going to be and where you wind up going in the second round. So Georgia's 3. I think we can almost guarantee that Texas Tech will be 4. So far, pretty much going to chalk. The only question really was, does Ohio State fall more than 1 spot? They were still going to get a bye. But we are where we are now. definitely going to be curious to see. There really is no suspense until we get to 8. Let's see if these guys do it all before hitting a commercial break, or if we're going to suffer having to get like the first 8 in and then find out.
This time around, number 4 in the final bye, meaning not getting a home game. And this is the only bad thing about Big 12 champion Texas Tech. Man, Lubbock would have been electric for a whole game on campus.
All right, so we got our top seeds in now.
Conference championship since 1954, and the Red Raiders are seeded 4th, and there they are in Lubbock celebrating what Joey McGuire and company have done. Yeah, and what they were able to do is beat BYU again. They forced 3 turnovers, beating
So the whole conference championship thing, right? The Big Ten championship, a number 1 versus number 2 game, essentially was a jockeying for 1 or 2. It was a glorified exhibition game that people could have got hurt when it's all said and done. And I know you can't predict that before the season starts.
they could make a run. I'm not going to be shocked, especially if they have a national championship. No doubt. We have David Baylor, Mello Hyde, and Middle Lee Hunter, defense, and Jacob Rodriguez, best line.
So this should be Oregon next, I believe.
Finalist, if not winner. Now, team that has a home game, seeded number 5.
Oregon, yep.
So 3 of the top 5 teams in the country are from the Big Ten. Dan Lanning's team will open in Eugene.
All right, we got Oregon at number 5. Almost guarantee we will wind up having Ole Miss at number 6. We'll get ready for that.
Best tight end in America, the physicality they exude, another team that understands what their identity are. Haven't always played up to their par throughout the season, but they're starting to click on all cylinders, and it's going to be a tough ask. Whoever has to go to Eugene and deal with the Ducks at Alton.
And I think this upcoming number is the first one where there could be some drama at 6, because you look at it, all assuming that 11
Yeah, number 6 is probably Ole Miss. I don't think they're getting punishment for their coaches at all. I would be surprised if anything happens. They didn't do it on Tuesday, and that was when they thought they were losing both their coordinator and Lane Kiffin, and their coordinator, Charlie Weiss Jr., is doing the coordinating on the offensive side of the ball. So Ole Miss is at 6. Sorry, Florida State fans. The inconsistency of the committee knows no bounds. There is no punishment. In fact, Ole Miss moved up last week.
one of the last 2 highest ranked conference champions.
And Oxford is going to be buzzing down there. Good for Pete Golden. He's now the permanent head coach. Lane Kiffin is
Yeah, Texas Tech versus Oregon, if that were to come to pass down the road, that would be a very interesting game.
together, and they're ready to make a run. Trinidad Chambers, Kawan Lacey, this defense, they feel really good about what they have now in Oxford, Mississippi.
So Ole Miss will have a home game.
Ole Miss played 4 G6 games.
Ole Miss put the home will be buzzing. It will be. Yeah. They will win the party, and they'll try to win the game. Another home game, seeded 7.
Texas A&M. So everything so far is going chalk as people would generally have predicted, without much different.
Consolation prize, home game with the winner getting Ohio State. And I got to be honest, if I'm A&M, I have a bit of a gripe, frankly, because A&M, you look at their strength of schedule played, they're sitting there at 16. They're sitting 1 spot behind Ole Miss, whose strength of schedule resides at 41. You can say, well, the best win for Ole Miss, Oklahoma. Well, they went to Notre Dame and knocked off the Irish, who might be a top 10 team.
So that means we're going to have Oklahoma at number 8, whether they've announced it or not, but we know that's going to be the case.
And then the final team to get a home game, which is college football playoff, Oklahoma. Now the Sooners
All right, now we get to the mystery of it. My prediction, not my hope, is that we will wind up 9 Notre Dame, 10 Alabama, 11 Tulane, and 12 JMU. We will see whether JMU gets screwed by Duke somehow, and whether anything flips with Miami and Notre Dame.
These are the teams that have the home games, and while I agree with Greg, there's a lot that you could dispute about Ole Miss and Texas A&M and the order there. This was the relatively easy part. Now, because of what we mentioned again, I just want to emphasize this. I'm not trying to talk to everybody like they're kindergartners, but just remember, 2 more conference champions have to go into the field. They are highly unlikely to be ranked in the top 12, so they're going to displace 2 teams in the
Almost forgot the Notre Dame logo as a possibility there. So there we go.
Alabama, which lost in the
I think this is going to be Notre Dame. I hope I'm wrong.
Notre Dame and Miami. So, number 9, who will go to Norman to take on Oklahoma?
It's over. Damn, Alabama did not move. So congratulations, Greg Sankey. You got boat raced. SMU lost 2 spots last year in this situation. So now you got to hope that somehow they finally decided when Miami moved up over BYU that they did head-to-head with Notre Dame. Call me skeptical that that's what they're going to do.
Sample size. And that's the way it should be evaluated when you take into account the teams they were being evaluated against had just 12 data points to evaluate. So Alabama need to get back on track offensively, need desperately to get healthy. But they have an opportunity, like you said, Breeze, to avenge that regular season loss. But, I will say this. I understand the concept of not being overly punitive for a conference championship game. But if you're going to play them, they need to have stakes both ways to win a conference championship and what happens if you lose.
They have to count somehow. And we're talking about Alabama maybe having the best win in the sport by going to Athens. They also have one of the worst losses by losing to Florida State. So we just cannot erase that. I'm surprised at this move right here.
Okay, but when they will have time for this, you have to define loss by record. Absolutely. If you go by power rankings, Florida State's still top 30. I'm not trying to excuse it. I'm just saying all of these things you factor in and try to define them. So now we're down. We're basically back where we started. There's one spot left in terms of at-large teams, and it almost certainly is going to be Miami or Notre Dame. So, number 10
No!
is Miami.
Holy shit!
Without playing on the final
Oh my God! I knew it!
Fuck you, Notre Dame! Oh my fucking God.
I was right!
Holy shit. I literally can't believe it. I was wrong.
I was right!
I was fucking wrong. Demonetize the shit out of this. I literally can't believe these clowns did that. But thank fucking God. The committee is a joke. Let me be really clear. This committee is a joke. They did the right thing now, but they should have done it this past week. It never should have been this bad. The inconsistency is off the damn chart, and I'm really glad that they fixed it today, but I am still on a mission to destroy everything about this committee.
Oh my God, I was so right. I manifested that shit.
I got to do this, though. I do need to change something, everybody. It's really important. I got to change my background.
I was so right. It's okay, baby. Mommy was right.
Alex, I don't know, what link are you talking about, man? Thanks, Bob. What link, Alex? I'm not sure what you said. I'm too busy being drunk in delusion that they literally did the right thing. I have never been happier in my entire life of being wrong. And the fact that it came at the expense of Notre Dame is the best thing. I freaking hate Notre Dame. I have no intention of being unbiased about Notre Dame. Screw Notre Dame. Oh, I can't believe it. I was completely wrong. I didn't think they had it in them to be consistent whatsoever. We're gonna add some guests here because I had no idea. I apologize. We're a national college football channel, but this is gonna turn into a little bit of a Miami party. I have literally no choice but to add Lex from. Let me change the settings here, Lex, so I can do this correctly. And get you on because I can't believe it just happened. All right, Lex, for everybody there's a bunch of Canes fans in here, but we have like 400 people watching, so not everybody knows you. So let everybody know who you are, what you do, and just so they understand your background as a Canes fan.
I can't speak right now. Guys, my name's Lex. I am one part of the Miami Mayhem show from the Miami Flow platform. We're on Wednesday nights. Lexus, y'all don't know me, but I'm probably one of the biggest supporters of the College Football Express show. I've told Rock and all this, one of my favorite shows out here. You guys are one of my favorite shows. And somehow I have a little bit of access to the link here, so I just had to pop in real quick.
Our sister channel, Miami Flow, where this began. James Madison is in. All right, so the playoff field has been settled. Congratulations to JMU, which vicariously, just for a curiosity, the other better half of my house is a UCLA alumnus. And her new head coach just made the playoffs for her team, which is going to help UCLA. And look, I have to sit there and bring up, of course, Miami Flow buying me a Christmas present somewhere, saying never doubt me again. Look, man, I'm more than happy to be wrong. I will eat this every time. It's the best wrong in my entire life. I can't even think of another one. I'm a little bit bummed that it's 10, not 9, because in my dream scenario, if this played out, you get the 9 seed. You're probably, if you win that game, I'd be having the entire Miami world coming to Miami, to LA for the Rose Bowl, playing Indiana in that, because that's likely where that game will be. But anyway, man, Lex, what's your reaction to stunning?
It's more than stunning. College Football Committee did the right thing. Oh, Jorge just posted it. They did the right thing. As bad as Bama got killed yesterday, Bama should still be in the SEC. It's an SEC thing, but they compared. We were head to head. We beat Notre Dame. You know what the best thing about this? I'm just watching Joey Galloway cry with the tears coming down his eyes.
I think it's awesome. I love the tears. Give me tears. Give me tears. The show's going to go off the rails, everybody, because I just literally can't believe it happened.
Bro, I like our bracket. I like the A&M matchup. Ohio State will be a very physical, hard game, but I like our matchups. I like our matchups big time. I don't think the A&M offense is all that. Their defense is pretty solid. But let's just be honest, man. If our offense can score 24 points in any of these games, I'm confident we can win all of them. There's nobody there that scares the hell out of me. We match up physically great against all these teams. And some people say, oh, you don't want to see Ohio State. You rather see Oregon and Texas Tech. I actually differ. I don't mind Texas Tech. Oregon scares me a little bit, bro, playing on the West Coast, Eugene. But, I don't want to take up too much of your time, Rock, because I kind of
No, you can keep on, man, because I was
getting
ready
right now, I was the number one person, if you asked, hey, man, I got to call you back. We're live on the show. Yeah, we know Miami's in, baby, in the playoffs. Yeah, I know. I'm on the show. Bro, my phone hasn't stopped. I was the number one saying that there was no confidence that the committee would do the right thing.
None. I had zero confidence. Look,
we know it's about the money. Notre Dame brings a lot of money. But you know what? You know what this, I think, tells me? That now Notre Dame must force themselves to join a conference.
They're going to have to evaluate it, right? Let me just get this in. I want to pull something up while we're talking because I want to defend the case. Not a fan of either team, but I think Bama over Notre Dame is biased. I agree. I think Notre Dame is a better team than Alabama. Bama should have been out. That's my opinion. With all the caveats and everything, but just for it's going to be very hard to see this. Do I have it still? Let me see. Let me see if I have it. Yeah. So no one's going to be able to see this, but I'll tell you, essentially, these are the categories that they should have been judging against Miami versus Notre Dame every single week. And they got better and better as time goes by. The first one was head-to-head. I mean, the first one was, what? I can't even see the damn thing. Oh, strength of schedule. They were one spot away from each other when the season ended. The second one was head-to-head. You either win or you lose. There are no ties in college football. The next one was shared schedule. They both went 4-0 against the same teams. Miami outperformed in 3. Notre Dame outperformed against Syracuse. Syracuse had a freaking lacrosse player as their quarterback. Notre Dame fans like to sit there and say that Miami ran up the score and they had their starters in against Pitt. Notre Dame had their starters in against Pitt at the end of the game. It's all a crock of shit.
Correct.
Then the metrics, the ones that people see, FPI, strength of record, game control, average win percentage, Miami and Notre Dame are basically right next to each other in every single one of them. The way the committee's supposed to look at those things is if you're 13 and 14, it's a tie. It's like tiers of stuff, right? If you were 25 versus 13, it's different. 13 versus 14, 14, 15 is not supposed to matter. And then the deep analytics, which nobody could see unless you like squeeze into your phone and zoom in. These are the deeper ones, offensive and defensive, that they have put through press coverage before. All the offensive ones, Notre Dame's better on a little bit to a little bit more better. All of the defensive ones, Miami's better on. So then if you look at it, it's a wash. It's a little bit neutral here, and it's 2 wins for Miami. So the fact that this last week we weren't there once the whole season was done is what made me completely convinced that this was never going to work out for the Canes. And I even as late as yesterday, Lex, when BYU lost and Bama lost, I actually was of the mindset that Bama losing was a bad thing for Miami because I was convinced that the only sliver of a chance you had was for Bama not to fall.
Bama to win, to switch the position, so maybe
right,
they get the
because then they would give them a buffer, another buffer.
Buffer.
The fact that Alabama got boat raced on national TV, and they're the first conference loser that I can recall that didn't drop a spot when that happened. SMU dropped 2 last year, Texas dropped 1, that they didn't drop at all, blows my mind that they didn't, man.
I'm still waiting for ESPN to put on, I forgot the reporter's name that's in Miami. They showed her earlier. I'm waiting to see the response from the Miami room. They have not showed it on ESPN at all. I've not seen
I'm
that,
sure they'll get around. This is a 3-hour show because they're going to get around to doing.
Nobody gives a shit anymore, right?
Because they're going to do all. They're going to tell everybody about the bowl games too, right? And they're going to do the matchups. They're going to start looking ahead. So I mean, look, I've never been more wrong. I was pretty damn right on all of this for the most part and dropping, but I just didn't think they had it in them.
Do you like our bracket spot? Do you like our matchups?
I'm not worried about ATM. I mean, look, let me be real. If we look through the brackets right now, let's do that. We'll do Miami. Let's do all of them. If the Miami team that is capable of showing up shows up, I'm not worried about going into a very tough environment. College Station, 110,000 people. Great, because ATM has, I know it's Texas A&M, but if you know, you know. And they had a pretty weak SEC. They got the luck of the draw in the SEC, right? And they had 7 of the worst teams. I watched the Arkansas game. I've watched every single one of their games. I think Miami's the better team, but I don't think you can discount the fact that Texas A&M is an excellent team, and they will have home field, and that'll be a tough environment. Ohio State, look, the Ohio State-Indiana game was really great last night. Tough defensive battle. So I don't know. Well, let's get to that and find out. I know I don't know. Like Indiana's. Look, the top 4 seeds are really good teams, right? So whoever you go, I don't know if there's a good
everybody here deserves.
This is not last year, other than the 11 and 12 seed, right? This is in the at-large pool and even the conference champion pool. This is not last year, where Clemson comes in as the number 12 seed from, gets as an ACC championship. So there's no easy path. Like, you will have earned your victory if you make it through this year.
Somebody said if we played in the Orange Bowl, I'm selling a kidney to get there. I'm telling you right now. Before we had that second loss, Rock, I had talked to the Canes department. We're season ticket holders.
Right.
And if we made a donation, we'd be moved up in the line if Miami went past the first round for any games in the Hard Rock to be in front of the line to get guaranteed tickets. When we lost that second game, I'm like, can I get my donation back? Because we don't have a chance at the playoffs anymore. Now I know that. I mean, look.
Yeah, I did this. I did the same thing, Lex. Like they did a solicitation for, and I was like, I don't remember if I renewed for the year or not on the donation level, and I did it, and then they lost the next day to SMU, and now I'm going to be really glad.
I agree with the A&M thing. The difference between now is All you got to do, there's no style points anymore. You just got to win by a point. You got to just win by a point. Now, I do not like when you look at this bracket, man, and I'm not an expert like you or Flo or the General, which I love watching you guys. I don't understand number 6 and number 8, Ole Miss and Oklahoma. I don't think Oklahoma's that good of a team. I think Oklahoma might, except for the JMU and Tulane, I think Oklahoma might be the worst team in this bracket.
Yeah, I think that they are.
And how do you not discount Ole Miss losing all their offensive staff and their whole head coach right now? I don't know how you contemplate leaving them at 6 when who's going to run the offense? With the right receiver coach?
Well, I think that Oklahoma look, I believe if the rankings came out for the first time today, Oklahoma would probably still be in, but they would be probably 10th, I think, maybe. I can make an argument. I believe Notre Dame should be in ahead of Alabama, to be clear. And I think that Notre Dame should be in ahead of Oklahoma. In terms of who do I think would do the best in this playoff, right? Yeah. But I haven't really compared everything Notre Dame's metrics, and they don't have the head-to-head. They barely have any shared games, right? There's some connectivity between Notre Dame and the SEC through beating Texas A&M and beating Arkansas, right? So you'd have to look at that to get if you're the committee and you were comparing it in a new day today from scratch, which by the way is how they're supposed to do it every week. I don't know. And then one question's come up, and I'm not sure if I know the answer to this yet, JB, but this is so opening week, right? The games, Miami's going to be playing at Texas A&M, Tulane's going to Ole Miss, JMU's going to Oregon, Alabama's heading over to Oklahoma. Then you get to the playoff quarterfinals, and the quarterfinals are supposed to still, if I'm not mistaken, and I could be, so if I'm wrong and correct me in the chat, they are supposed to basically defer to the previous conference affiliations as best as possible, assuming that they can. So that won't really necessarily work because the Big Ten has two of the top four.
When is our game, Rock? You said when is our game, Rock?
Our games will be either a week from Friday or a week from Saturday. I'm guessing it'll be a week from Saturday. It's so Army Navy coming. Yesterday. Yeah, 2 weeks from yesterday. Because again, Army Navy coming up. There's a game on Friday night, and then there is, I believe, 3 games on Saturday. Friday night game, I think, gets sent over to TBS TNT.
Hey, Javi, then I'm on the show with Rock right now. Javi, I'm on the show with Rock. I'm on the show with Rock. We're live and 400 people, and I don't want to be rude to Rock, but we're on the show, man. I'll call you back.
Whoever, if let's assume that Indiana is likely to face whoever they're doing in the Rose Bowl, because that's the traditional Big Ten tie-in, right? Then the Cotton Bowl would probably be where this again, if you pass this coming week. So the Cotton Bowl is where Texas Tech would go, most likely. Then Miami would I'm guessing Ohio State, if that's right? If Indiana gets the Rose Bowl because they won the Big Ten championship and they defer to that thing, but Ohio State's number 2, I'm guessing, and they probably don't want to put Ohio State as a number 2 seed in a January 1 day. So I'm going to guess that Ohio State is going to get assigned to probably the Sugar Bowl or the Orange Bowl.
Yeah.
And I almost think that they might give them the Sugar Bowl just to make sure that if Miami were to win that game, because they'll decide that now, like probably how that happens. And maybe we'll find out during the show. I don't know if I'll hear it. So if you guys hear it, drop in there. Or if you know and it's already been announced, let me know. I'm going to guess Ohio State's bracket goes to the Sugar Bowl based off of the way things played out. But no, that's actually Georgia.
Georgia.
That's Georgia.
Georgia would be in the Sugar Bowl.
Georgia would be the Sugar Bowl. So it's possible. It's possible, unless they decide to move stuff around to not give Miami an accidental home field advantage, it's possible that the Ohio State game as the number 2 seed gets the Orange Bowl assigned to it because Indiana is probably going to get the more prestige of being, wanting to go to the Rose Bowl. I don't know if they get a choice. I don't think that they do, but I honestly don't know. And I'm assuming Texas Tech will get to the Cotton Bowl. But that's not really their. The thing is, that's not really the Big 12's historical thing. It was more the Fiesta Bowl, but the Fiesta Bowl is the site of a semifinal this year. So maybe it's all going out the window. I'm just making a guess that Indiana is going to wind up in the Rose Bowl as the number one seed.
I'm right now.
If anybody knows for sure and you've seen it or it's coming up, please drop it in the chat.
I'm trying to see right now if they had posted the games already. Because the Hard Rock app would also have it already.
Yeah, for sure.
And did you know what the funny part is, Rock? DraftKings actually had posted already when the live show started. They had posted it that it was Bama and Notre Dame, and they had literally posted it.
They might have just been taking a guess of putting the games up in case it happens, knowing they can cancel the action. We got 430 people on right now, which is great. If you're in the chat, please hit the like button at a minimum. It helps the channel a lot. If you haven't subscribed, please consider doing so as well. It's not normally me freaking out about Miami games. It's usually about a lot of other national stuff across the board topic-wise. If you're over on X, please consider coming over to the channel and giving us a like, dropping in the chat. And you can always support the channel, but no expectations with the super chat or memberships. Feel free to do that if you want. We always greatly appreciate it. And I forgot to do this earlier. Got a shout out to Moen After Dark for awarding 5 memberships. If you got one, please consider thanking Moen. I didn't get a chance to keep up with it because it was going along with everything. I'll be on later on the College Football Mafia with my partner in crime, Moen, who got me into all of this stuff at 4 o'clock. And I will be well more prepared to enjoy and drink up a goblet worth of Notre Dame tears. And so thank you, Moen. And Plank Time came in with the 1999 dono during all of that craziness. So I didn't even get to see that because I was probably on cloud 9 over here. Glad I was wrong. You and me both. Again, look for Social Distortion. I was wrong on YouTube. I will be singing that at some point, and I will be singing it as my theme song for the next couple of weeks during the playoffs.
Rock, you may know this. Where would you fly into if you're going to Texas A&M?
Would you probably know? Houston. Houston I think it's Houston's the closest one.
If anybody knows in the chat, if you know anybody knows in the chat, where would you fly in for College Station? Please post it in here if you know the airport.
Becky Go Huskies with a $1.99 donation sent you how the bowl picks work. Did you send it to me over on Twitter, Becky? Oh, there it is. Hold on. All right. Let's do this. Thank you, Becky. Appreciate it. So I'm reading this out loud. The CFP Selection Committee will assign the 4 highest-ranked schools to playoff quarterfinals hosted by bowls. This will be done in consideration of historic bowl relationships. I was on the right track.
So example, Georgia's Sugar Bowl. Georgia's
Sugar Bowl. Number 1 and the SEC school would be assigned to the Sugar Bowl. So the question is, the Big 12, I believe, was the historic one is the Fiesta Bowl. Big 10 is the Rose Bowl, right? But we got 2. The Fiesta Bowl is not one of the 4 in the first round. It's a semifinal.
I could see Ohio State at the Orange Bowl in Miami. I could see Ohio State.
Look, Ohio State's going to the Orange Bowl or – oh, well, let me throw this one at you, man. And again, we don't know that Miami's going to beat Texas A&M, right? To be clear.
Oh, shit. He said Miami beats them, and then they give the Orange Bowl to Ohio State. Technically, money-wise and financial-wise, it would make sense, of course.
Correct. And it's not really even an obvious, right? Because let's go back to the actual thing. So if we go back to this, right, we've got the Cotton Bowl in. So if Ohio State needs a home, if anyone finds out what they're giving them, please drop it in the chat because I'm just chatting it up and trying to keep straight with all of the comments, and we're falling behind. But let's try to figure this out a little bit. But if you do know, please send it over to us. Flo, and by the way, Flo is out with family. We didn't know we were going to do this. I decided to do it last second. He's not able to do it. I'm sure if you watch Flo tonight.
I had breakfast with him this morning. At breakfast, he's doing good, man.
Yeah, he's fine. He's feeling better. I'm sure he's doing his normal show tonight on Miami Flow channel, so you can get more from him later. But if we try to work this out, Indiana to the Rose Bowl makes sense, right? Georgia to the Sugar Bowl. So then you have to figure out where are Texas Tech going? Where is Texas Tech going? And who else? Where's Ohio State going, right? And Ohio. So here's the interesting thing, dude. If you have a choice between the Cotton Bowl and the Orange, you have the choice between the Cotton Bowl and the Orange Bowl. Period. End of story, right? Ohio State is going to play either Miami, Orange Bowl, or Texas A&M, 3 hours from Dallas. So unless Ohio State, somehow they dramatically changed their historic conference tie-ins and decide to put Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl to avoid the possibility that they wind up playing somebody who could be perceived as the home team, they have no good choice. So I got to hear, I can't wait to find out what happened. And the clown is speaking, by the way, because the commissioner is speaking. I am not paying attention because everything is going on. But if he says anything wild and interesting about the whole Notre Dame Miami situation,
I have the caption on.
Yeah, I'm going to pause for a second and see what happens because they're talking about it right now.
We did that. We filled in the bracket, and Miami ended up being one of the 7 highest at large teams.
And Miami ended up being one of the 7th highest at-large teams.
This year, and so the same question about Alabama and BYU.
He's the guy's a clown, dude.
Do you think, Rod? Let me ask you this: do you think the Duke win, probably leaving the ACC totally out of the playoffs, actually helped us?
Well, the only part I just caught of what the clown from Arkansas said was that it had no impact. Do I believe anything these guys say?
No,
I do not. I do not.
So that, when people say we didn't care about the Duke game, I disagreed because I'm thinking you cannot leave the ACC game.
They could totally leave the ACC out.
They could, but now
I think you were right though on your line of thinking. It wasn't going to hurt for Duke to be there, right, and cause the problem. Whether it did or didn't, it wasn't going to hurt for that situation. But I don't, take it for what it's worth. The one thing I did hear him say, and I will watch this back later and probably do another reaction. But I got to know, there's definitely information out there at this point. So, and I'm scrolling through the comments about where Ohio State will wind up playing. Because I don't know if they have a good option. They either have if they respect the conference tie-ins, Rose Bowl for Indiana. I mean, they could send Indiana somewhere else, but Indiana's the number 1 seed in the country, and the Rose Bowl is the game that everybody dreams of going to, right?
Hey, Rock, somebody just texted me December 20th, noon kickoff.
So that means a Saturday.
That's next Saturday, noon kickoff. That's what I'm getting. That's what I just got the text.
Okay. So if anybody can tell us, if you're doing homework right now, have they said where the bracket that Ohio State is going? Is it going to, our assumption is either going to the Orange Bowl or it's going to the Cotton Bowl. Either way, if that's true, if they don't somehow change the conference affiliation priorities and Indiana's number 1 in the Big Ten, they would be the one that normally would go to the Rose Bowl then. Georgia is SEC. That's the Sugar Bowl. There's no good decision for Ohio State because they're probably playing in 2 stadiums where they would have a possibility, depending, they're going to make that decision before the outcome of Miami. And I think that's another question. I'm making an assumption. I believe that they will tell Ohio State fans where they're going to 2 weeks. I don't think they have to wait till after Miami, Texas A&M goes, but maybe I'm wrong, and we'll find out shortly. But if they're making the decision now, either way, they have a 50-50 shot, depending upon your perspective on the odds of Miami versus Texas A&M winning, of sending Ohio State to a game that is within either 24 miles or a 3-hour drive of their opponent.
in the Cotton Bowl, I think they would like. That would be smart.
Plank Time is saying
Cotton.
Cotton for Ohio State. Is that you know it, or is that a confirmed fact? Let us know.
Yeah, I'm already.
Texas Tech got orange.
My wife's like, don't go crazy, because while I'm doing this with you, I'm already booking our plane tickets. I'm representing. I'm going. It is what it is.
Good
dog.
for you,
I'm
man.
there.
Good for
I don't
you.
give a shit.
If I'm able to do one, it would probably be having to wait for the second round. Oh,
Ow.
Frank saying it's on the screen. So Texas Tech is going to the Orange Bowl. Ohio State's going to the Cotton Bowl. So for Miami, it's a trip, right? It's to Dallas if that happens. If they beat Texas A&M, for Ohio State, if Texas A&M wins, it's going to be crazy. Either like, you know how much that game is going to cost if it's Texas A&M versus Ohio State in Dallas?
Oh my God.
The secondary market is going to be bonkers. Thanks for the heads up, Plank Time. I wasn't looking at the screen. I was paying attention to this screen.
It's on the screen.
Man,
Yeah.
oh man. Let's try to go back and see if there are any other chats so I didn't get a chance to catch. I literally still can't believe that they left Notre Dame out, to be honest with you. I just didn't think they had it in them.
We had a bigger chance of Bama being left out than Notre Dame because, hey, real quick, Juju, I'm on the show, Rock. I'm not being rude. Are you coming with me to the game? I'm booking plane tickets right now. We leave next week, Friday. What is it, Rock? The 19th? The game's on the 20th. We come back home Sunday. Tell your job you quit. I don't give a fuck. I'll get you another job. You work for me. Figure it out. I'm booking plane tickets today, son. 19th, 20th, 21st. Love you. I'll text you right now. Bye.
Hey,
Bye.
Bex, how do you feel about it's crazy, right? How do you feel about Becky's comment? Beck has to play better than he has at times this year against A&M. That defense is not good. They, meaning Miami, can definitely score as long as he takes care of the ball.
I 100% agree. I think Beck just needs to stay comfortable. He's looked very comfortable the last few weeks. He's looked like he's been in the zone. This is why we brought Beck in, Becky. This is why we brought Beck. Beck has rings. He has playoffs experience against the best teams. This is what Beck is getting paid for. We're going to see what Beck's on. I feel good. Guys, I don't think A&M can score more than 21 points against us. Score 24 points, and I'm 100% sure we win this game. I don't think they score more than 21. So, so I feel like if Beck just plays within his game, you know what? Who won the MVP in the Georgia team yesterday? Who won the MVP? The quarterback for Georgia Bulldogs.
Gunnar Stockton.
Did you know he was 20 to 26 passing? 20 out of 26 passing. Did you know out of those 20 throws, I believe 15 or 16 were 5 yards or under catches? And of course, after the play, I'm talking about the throws were within 5 yards. So don't tell me it can't be done with a check down. He only threw for 156 yards.
Right.
And got the MVP. We just need to play within our game. People have been pissed off with Dawson. Guys, I don't know what happened between Dawson and Mario, Dawson and the world, Dawson and Jesus Christ, for crying out loud, after that. But his play call in the last 4 weeks has been ridiculous. You cannot plan for Miami because when Dawson is in his playbook and in his game, we've got way too many options. Way too many options. You're gonna somebody's gonna have to be covered. Somebody's gonna have to be doubled. Who are you gonna leave open? And guess who I'm gonna take? Guess which name I'm gonna take?
Who's gonna be left open?
It's gonna be Mr. Elijah Lofton. I called it 2 weeks in a row on our show, Miami Mayhem, about him breaking out little by little. Somebody can't be covered at all times. Can't cover everybody.
Wild. If anybody's in the chat and was able to pay attention more to the interview with Reese Davis and the committee chairman, the Arkansas athletic director. Did they explain? I caught a little bit, but did they actually explain what fundamentally changed between Notre Dame and Miami since Tuesday? Was it simply that they moved BYU out and they now are basically setting a precedent that they only compare head-to-head when you're right next to each other, which is asinine ridiculous, by the way. But if you did hear that, please drop it in the chat so we know.
Why does the committee need to explain?
I want to know why they did it.
Both next week, it'd be nice to hear it, but
they should.
And Becky, like I said, I'm not.
They should be transparent, though, Lex. They should be transparent.
Is they were head to head. We beat them. Look at.
But they should have explained why they weren't already there right beforehand. It shouldn't have just been about moving BYU because there are 12 other instances until now. There's 13. They're 13 for 13 in college football playoff rankings history from the selection committee of two teams with the same record where one team beats the other and that team winds up ahead of them. Until this past week, it was the first time really that had happened, and they were basically saying they weren't compared the same, but one of their four main criteria is head-to-head. So I'm just curious if they gave further explanation. By the way, I don't expect that explanation to be good.
I think I have it. And I talked to somebody, Rock, that I'm on the little Zoom calls on Fridays. There is somebody who's well in a booster for Miami said one thing. The reason it hasn't changed is for ratings. If you give all the way information now, you have a 3-hour show you got to fill in that nobody would watch if you already knew the final rankings.
Right.
It's a great explanation. It's a great explanation. How the hell do you fill in a 3-hour show, bro? How do you fill in a 3-hour show? Can Tulane beat Ole Miss? Hell, the teams get to pick their bowl games location for your okay.
So maybe there was a pecking order, right? They defer to the obvious things. I'm sure there was divulged a little bit more. We'll definitely get into that. We talked about where it's flow. This is your question of flying into College Station, Houston or Austin. I think Lex or the
both of them are. I just looked up. They're both a 2-hour drive. Houston, due to the size of the airport, bro. Me and my son can fly in round trip nonstop
for $12 on Southwest.
No, I'm actually gonna do, bro. People may not like this, but I love Spirit. I have a great track record. I love Spirit. I fly to Spirit to Vegas 4 times a year. Never had an issue. And, bro, we had the Spirit credit card. So if you pay for the basic, you get the free upgrade to the front seats. So me and my son are flying round trip nonstop Friday through Sunday for $174 with my points.
Let's see what else came up. You said can Tulane beat Ole Miss? I don't think it's likely, but I don't think it's out of the question that they can, depending upon whether I'm rooting for Ole Miss because of the way they got kind of screwed in a way, up to a point. Now I'm rooting to them up until the point I have to worry about playing them.
Cotton Bowl for OSU, Sugar Bowl for UNG. Yeah, Sugar Bowl, UNG. That's the one we both agree that's not going to change.
Indiana in the Rose Bowl makes sense. Yes, Notre Dame did not make it, hence the leprechaun tears behind me.
Oh,
by the
Rock,
way,
we need to get you on our show, Rock. We need to get you on our show, bro.
I'm happy to join anytime, And in celebration of being wrong, I think it's really important that I play another commercial right now. Hold on. Because I just have to keep playing this because it turned out that I was a little bit wrong, but maybe not so much. But maybe this will make them cry even more.
Did your team get dog walked on national TV? Welcome to the Notre Dame Dog Training Academy. We turn leaders of men into very good boys. Our specialized training curriculum teaches basic commands. Sit, stay, start a lacrosse player at quarterback. Good boy.
And for our executive clients, try our Phillips Cuck protocol. Learn to watch from the corner while the big independent teams have all the fun.
Enroll today. Because if you can't beat them, well, you definitely can't beat them. Paw like a champion.
Jim Phillips.
You're such an ass, Rock. I love you, dog.
Jim Phillips got so lucky today. So lucky. But that doesn't mean the ACC isn't broken. That all of the Power 4 conference titles, by the way, have dumb tiebreakers in them. Only in the American and Mountain West have a logical way to settle these uneven schedules, tiebreakers when head-to-head can't come in. But that guy is still terrible. But I'm enjoying my goblet of tears. We've been talking about, Lex, I want to get your take. Alabama and Oklahoma, as much as Alabama has had a rough month, Oklahoma's defense is great, right? And Alabama's offense has been challenging lately because they have no running game. I mean, I don't know. I might pick Alabama in that game.
It's hard, man. It's hard when I can basically fall forward and have more rushing yards than Bama did yesterday. That's pretty bad, bro.
Was
That's
it -3?
bad. Do you know who's the happiest team right now? Out of that is Indiana, because I think Indiana can dog walk both of them right now by 20 points. The way they're currently playing and the way they have played lately, I think Indiana got a favorable bracket out of all this. So I would honestly, if I had to take my take, I would take Bama over OU right now, and Indiana over them. I would, you know, we do our little bets on the Hard Rock app. I'm going to take Bama on this money. I think Bama can beat OU, even with the challenges from yesterday, man. I mean, you played a Georgia team that, look, let's just say, man, Georgia's played very well. Look, they're number 3 seed in the nation, but Georgia looked like a different animal yesterday, bro. They look like a whole different animal,
right?
And I'm going to give Georgia some credit because my sister works for the state of Georgia, and she's a huge Georgia fan. She'll be at those games. But, yeah, Georgia just looked like a different animal. It's something that we haven't seen from Georgia all year that we just saw yesterday.
We have, and they definitely stepped it up. So Alabama and Oklahoma is a Friday night game. This is the Friday night game. So on the first round of the playoffs, there's one game Friday night, then I believe 3 on Saturday. Could be wrong. It might be 2 and 2. But I believe that's what it is. But either way, Alabama and Oklahoma is a Friday night game. So we'll see what happens. Oregon, if they beat JMU, which I think is very likely. By the way, it makes it convenient for Bob Chesney, the JMU coach, once that game is over, to fly from, just go down the coast and start working at UCLA day in and day out. He'll have a short flight. He'll have a shorter flight home than he will back across the country to Virginia. So that's the game there. The payback, beat A&M and get Miami and Ohio State payback for 2001. That'll be interesting. I was at that Fiesta Bowl. I remember the fireworks. I think I'm still waiting for the flag to actually be thrown on that one. Bama got exposed yesterday, yes, but I think someone said if they heal up, Money Dog said if Bama gets healthy, they can beat Oklahoma. I think that's very possible as well. Geez, man, I'm still so off. 3,200-mile jaunt from Oregon to Miami. It's a pretty long flight. Like, I don't remember exactly how much it is, but with the connections and things like that, I assume that they figure out a way to fly direct, but I don't know. Maybe they have to go to Portland. But that's a long flight. I've done the Miami to Seattle version for work in the past, and it's like a 7.5-hour flight because you're doing that diagonal. It's way worse than New York.
I told myself if Miami made the playoffs and they got seeded to play Oregon, I would not go to Eugene. I don't care if Flo and I were having breakfast this morning before I left Miami, and we were just talking about it. I said, bro, I know it'd be history. First time we make it, I would love to join you guys. I just can't. Nothing about Eugene excites me. I'd rather throw a party here in Orlando, rent out the whole restaurant like we did for the Gators game, have a couple hundred people show up. But, bro, I don't think Miami had a watch party. Yeah, I don't think so either, Jorge, because can't believe they didn't show it. But
yeah, they're still doing interviews. They've been going around the horn. I know they have somebody with Mario, so maybe they'll get him eventually. When you look at these,
I forgot it was the blonde lady for ESPN. I forgot her name. She was on a few times when the show first got started. I forgot her name. So,
to me, the game that I think is the most exciting as a second rounder is because it's probably chalk, right?
College Football Express. I love you. Hey, it's Rasta now. Rasta, I'm here with the Rock and Rant live on this show on College Football Express. I love you, bro. I'll call you back, bitch. We fucking in the playoffs, motherfucker. Go buy me 2 tickets. I'll sell you the money right now. I'm buying my plane tickets right now. I'm going. Me and my son are going. So don't buy them. I'll be out the show in 20, 30 minutes. Don't buy them. I'll call you right back. My phone's like on 10%, bro. I better kind of charge it.
I'm sure. Oregon Texas Tech is going to be an awesome game when that game happens. Because Oregon's going to beat JMU. Oregon Texas Tech will be a really interesting game.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let's hope that Tony's right that Oregon versus Miami will be a conference game in 2030. We'll see if that comes to pass.
Bro, I'm 44 years old. I'm trying to make sure I get to 2030 first with my okay? I can't look that far. Now, Rock, you are going to meet us in Vegas for the 2027 versus Utah game, right?
Absolutely. Plus my, I think some of the guys from at least Wild Ute, who is over on the College Football Mafia channel, he's a Utah guy. I know he's planning on going to that one, so that'll be a pretty awesome one. But I'm still in heart attack zone.
Flo got a hotel that we're at. I have a casino host, so I'll try to get you a nice room with us. So I'll get in contact with you. But we're all going to be staying in Old Vegas.
It's going to be that's going to be a good one as well, assuming they keep that stuff right as everybody loses their minds about out of conference games and things get canceled. Man, like I could just keep babbling, but I feel like that's what I'm doing. What are what are your final take on just the bracket in general, how we got here, like what now that you're like out of the instant euphoria moment and you're moving into travel agent moment, what is your just general take of the bracket? Is it are you surprised that Duke didn't get in?
I think the bracket is correct. Duke does look, man. Manny Diaz won the ACC before Mario. Good for him. When he said, we should have our shot in the playoffs, Manny, take your ACC win and have a good weekend because you don't. But I mean, you have to say thank you because of Duke winning. I think it's a bigger reason because Miami's in, so the ACC doesn't get left out. I think the most interesting game that I could see in the future, like you said, that Texas Tech Oregon game is going to be. I think that's going to be a better game than people anticipate. I think Indiana can make it far. Georgia, again, it's not Miami. But there's one guy that you listen to on TV, and it's Nick Saban. And Nick Saban's right. Miami could be the most dangerous team out of all 12, Rock. And that's not because I'm a Canes fan. That's because that defense is elite. When that defense comes to play, I don't see an offense on that screen that scares the hell out of me. And Miami, but I'm interested to see Texas Tech versus Oregon, bro. And then I think Oregon – I don't think Texas Tech. I think Oregon, Indiana would be an interesting matchup if they both make it to play each other. I really think that,
I mean, they already did that. Are you sure?
Yeah, you got to remember, it's the playoffs. Just got to win one game. Whatever you did the last 14 weeks with 2 bye weeks does not matter anymore. Doesn't matter anymore.
This is a good question from Becky. Do you trust Mario in a tight ball game late now?
Yes. Because I don't think it's in Mario's hands as much as people think anymore. Things have changed the last 4 or 5 weeks. Things have changed. The way you see things is differently. Yes, 100%. And when you've got the best defensive line and edge rushers and a team with nothing to lose. But Miami wasn't expected to be here with nothing to lose. You're dangerous. Worried. Look, Rock, I love you.
Yeah, I'm going to wrap up here in a second, too.
Everybody. Airline tickets. Hey, I know I stuck on your show, man. I love
No,
your
it was
show.
all good, man. It helped out.
Hit the like button because College Football Express is probably one of the best college football YouTube shows out there. 1,000%. It's my favorite show. I'm on the Flow platform. I love the John and Cafecito shows. I love everybody's. But you heard, this is my favorite platform. I love watching your shows, even on rewatch, because I do work at 4 in the morning. Sometimes I got to get to bed.
Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
I love you guys. Thank you. God bless. Go fucking Canes. I'll see y'all in Texas.
Thanks for joining us, Lex. Appreciate it, man.
Later, brother.
All right. So a couple of last things. I'm going to wrap it up and try to catch up on all the conversation that's going on in the community because I literally still can't believe it. I'm sure I'll have my thoughts together a little bit later on tonight on the College Football Mafia show, Mowing After Dark, which is at 7 o'clock Eastern. I'll drop a link to that channel in the chat if you're not familiar with it. So I have to digest this because I literally was convinced there's no way this committee would do the right thing on the head-to-head front because I thought that if they were going to do it, they would have done it already, specifically this past Tuesday. That was the clear moment for me when the metrics between Miami and Notre Dame had lined up and there was less of a conversation. I don't really understand how that didn't all come together earlier. Obviously, it's happened now, so I'm happy for that, but it didn't make any sense to me. I think Notre Dame has a real gripe as well. I didn't really have a problem with Miami and Notre Dame both made the playoffs. I had a problem if it was reversed. I think if you're a BYU fan, you have a lot of... If you're a Big 12 fan, I think you have a legitimate gripe about the narrative that has been going on prior to BYU losing. You have a great example right here. BYU, someone needs to explain to me, other than them just giving us optics conversations, why is it that BYU can fall a spot in the rankings after a blowout loss in a conference championship, but Alabama didn't? When Alabama was, how far ahead were they, really? It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm curious what their explanation is for future reference so then we can know what next year they don't actually pay attention to. It'll be interesting to see what happens after this now when the conferences get together to try to figure out what the 2026 format's going to be. Is it going to be 12 again? Is it going to go to 16? Are they going to change anything? So those are things I'm really curious about. And I'm sure we'll talk about it more later. College Football Mafia show with Moen tonight at 7 Eastern. I dropped a link in the chat. Please consider going over to those guys. Hit subscribe over there and notifications so you know when that show comes on tonight. Flo will be on, I believe, tonight back on the Miami Flow channel, talking about all things Canes related to this. And I'm sure that will be pretty amazing. If you're a Canes fan or you just want to hear a Canes perspective on this show turned into a little bit more Miami than I expected for what is a national channel that doesn't necessarily focus on there, but a lot of our fans are there. And the whole Miami Notre Dame and then eventually Miami Notre Dame Alabama situation was the biggest story for the playoffs. So it made sense that I'm not going to be able to control my fandom on a day like this after 20 years wandering in the desert of 7 and 5 seasons. We're finally get a chance to put up or shut up in a real model. So check that out. Congrats to Miami coming in from David. They deserve it and make the ACC look good this year. I don't know if anybody can make the ACC look good right now. Jorge is confirming that the Ohio State is in the Cotton Bowl, so that'll be in Dallas, either playing Miami or Texas A&M, depending upon the outcome of there. Becky says, I think Alabama got some credit for beating Georgia. Hey, and maybe that's why. But you still have one more loss than BYU did. If I'm a Big 12 fan, I have a lot of concerns, whether I think it's fair or not. First round game times have been released. Great, so everybody go check that out. I'm looking right now on the screen. James Madison at Oregon is 7:30 Eastern on December 20th on TNT and HBO Max. That's what I'm seeing right now. So that is that. So instead of just continuing a circle, definitely going to catch up to everything right now. I'll have better thoughts together later on tonight on the College Football Mafia show with Moen at 7 Eastern. Please join us there. If you haven't already, please definitely give us a like at a minimum. If it's your first time coming over, hit the subscribe. Greatly appreciate it. Want to thank Moen After Dark for gifting 5 memberships. Plank Time for the $19.99 super chat, and Becky Go Huskies for both helping with the information and her super chat as well. If you're over on X, please consider coming over to CFB Express and subscribing to the channel so the next time we're on. I'm presuming Flo and I will do our normal Aftermath show tomorrow night, which we always intended to do a couple of days after the games so that we could think through things and not just be in the reaction. But based off of last week, we moved our show to the Tuesday college football playoff reaction time. We did it live then, so I came on today. And we'll probably gather our thoughts and at least do something in some form tomorrow night during our normal Monday night, 8 p.m. Eastern show. Till then, hope you all have a great day. Looking forward to seeing some Notre Dame tears. I have no sympathy for you. I understand if you're pissed, though. If I was a Notre Dame fan, I would be livid, but I don't care because always remember, in true flow style, go find somebody you love, give them a big hug and a kiss, because life is short, and for some of you, Notre Dame, your season just got shorter.